we'll start off.
Okay.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Truth Room Experience, Anuranjan.
All right.
Uh,
Thanks for having me.
it's a great pleasure. It's finally I got you over here. It's been like a week before I can grab you on this. And so you are a race driver
Yep. I'm
for,
a professional racing driver. Yep.
for Volkswagen.
Yep. We race in the One Make Championship VW.
Mm-hmm.
I've been racing with VW since 2018, and I'll be racing this year as well. And I guess this is my official announcement.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Because,
That's
I
good.
mean, I just signed the contract and stuff, so I guess that's the first official announcement of the year.
Yeah, that's good. So you got all the sponsors and everything sorted out for this.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the racing season begins in June, so we
Mhm.
got that time to figure out our sponsors and stuff like that. So it's pretty hard, you know how it is in India. Motorsport isn't as
Motorsport,
popular
yeah.
as it is, in elsewhere. So it's kind of tough, but it's not impossible. So
Yeah, it's not impossible. There's so many companies here. At least, and if I think your focus would be entirely on companies that are associated with motorsports,
yeah, I mean,
some sort of.
yeah, pretty much. I mean, if you like motorsport, you would sponsor for a motorsport event, So it's a lot of search and talks with media and advertisement companies and stuff like that.
So do you have clashes on them? Because when you go and then you find out they're already sponsoring another.
I mean, it's all right, But since we are the bigger, event, we run the fastest touring cars in the country, so
Is it?
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we race with the VW Ameos, so that's the car, the Volkswagen Ameos, right? On the road. So
Yeah.
we have that car with roll cage and the Polo GT with the two door.
Yeah.
We have the same engine in it and with 205 horsepower. And the car weighs about roughly around 1125 kilogram, I think, with driver. Not really sure, So that's pretty, it is super fast. So, and once you let the company know that this is the biggest event, then it should be pretty easy. But we don't know anything yet until we get sponsors. So.
Oh yeah, it's a time to hunt.
Yeah.
But at the same time, so do you have a team that does that for you, or
I'm
do
just
you
starting
personally
out.
have to do
Yeah,
it?
so I mean, I started official racing last year, so that's the biggest racing event, and I began with VW. So currently I don't have a manager or anything. It's just purely just me and my friends and stuff like that. So I don't have a dedicated team for the sponsor hunt, but I do get a lot of help from other people. So
Yeah, have you thought about setting up a dedicated team to do that for you?
not at the moment, but as we keep climbing up the ladder, you got to do what you got to do, right?
Yeah,
So,
it's true. That is true. So you're based out of Chennai.
Yep, I am
Yeah.
based in
So
Chennai. Yes.
you were born here, or
I was born in Tuticorin.
okay?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
south side.
Yeah.
Down south in Tamil Nadu, somewhere near Kanyakumari.
Mhm.
And but that's my mom's hometown, so I was born there, and
Yeah.
I've been living in Chennai since after that.
Eldest child of the family.
What? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, moms do that. They go back to their native place. Yeah, I was born in Kumbakonam,
Okay.
which is close to my the village where my mom came from.
Okay.
So Kumbakonam is the closest one.
Okay.
So yeah, for my birth, she went back.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have my passport Kumbakonam. Yeah, so that's where I was born. Because
Okay.
yeah, I think it's fairly normal for first child to be born close to home.
Yeah.
And then the second.
Yeah, I mean,
and
my
third
brother
one.
was born in Chennai, so
Yeah.
you can see how it is,
Same thing with my sister and brother. They were born in Saudi, so
Okay,
that's
okay.
far from home.
Yeah.
Yeah. Only wish they could get passports like that when they're just born over there, but that doesn't work with that country like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems to be a really complicated country to me,
Yeah, it is. It is a complicated country. It's a lot of different things
Okay.
messed up together. It's the biggest, I think, in the region.
Okay.
Yeah, Saudi Arabia is the biggest one in the region. But man, it was a different kind of life. You have so much fun, especially when it comes to cars.
Okay.
Oh my god, dude.
Uh-huh.
We were blessed to be brought up with when you come to India on vacations and you see ambassadors here at that time of life,
Yeah.
talking about 98, 99 when you start to understand vehicles,
Yeah.
and then talking about 2003, 4 when you still had ambassadors running around,
Yeah.
and then you go back to Saudi and you're in your, in your Chevrolet Lumina, which your wheels just like turn inwards when you're going at 100 or 120 on the highway, because that's usual speed for us.
Yeah.
When you hit the highway, we're hitting it. Because I think a couple of years ago, which was when recently we went on a family trip in 2015, we had the Chevrolet Trailblazer, which is like a 4-door SUV thing. It's a big, massive one. And we're just easily going at 200.
Okay.
Cruising on the highway.
Oh, legally? No.
I mean, not legally. Legally is 140, but it's like Saudi has these kind of roads which are so majestic. You only see them on American movies, kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Desert on the left, desert on the right.
Yeah.
It's a straight road to the mountains, and you got two-way track going in. So when you go far off into distant places, you got those.
Okay.
So no one's there, no camera, no nothing. There's no cameras in Saudi.
Okay.
Just recently they started coming up.
Okay.
So you got none of these things, and you just go at 200.
Okay.
You don't really care about it. And, I mean, if a cop guy is there behind a rock or something like that, he'll just radio in for the next checkpoint. It's like, dude, this car going at 200, just tell him to slow down.
Oh,
That's it. That's
Okay.
it. They won't tell you anything more. You go to the next checkpoint, they see you're with family, they don't even say anything on top of that.
Okay.
They'll just be like, go.
Okay.
So, but my dad got stopped once in Saudi. He got fined
Okay.
going 210 or 220, something like that.
Okay.
And then they're like, oh, okay. I was like, it's okay, $400. You just pay that off. Nothing happens.
Yeah, I much prefer, Autobahn and just, driving the speed limit, driving with no speed limit, and legally legal in the Autobahn, so I would prefer that.
I would love to drive there, but I've heard Autobahn is usually like rush.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, it's not like, like people just think it's like, no speed limits throughout, but you have restricted Autobahn and then you have unrestricted, and usually there's a lot of traffic, but it's good traffic, I guess. I hear from my friends,
Yeah, it's good traffic. There's one important thing that people in India don't follow though. If you're in a fast lane, which is next to the pavement in the middle, get the fuck out of the way.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Most of them don't. Here when I drive, because it's very weird for me, because I have to switch from left-hand driving to right-hand driving.
Yeah.
And then when you're on the right-hand driving and you're driving over there and you see a truck on front of you and you're like, dude, just move.
Yeah.
And he won't move. You gotta go zigzag here, which is kind of even more scarier for us because we're not used to the zigzag kind of thing.
Okay.
The only zigzag we do is between first track to second track when there's someone guy coming from behind us fast and we just fly. We don't even honk.
Okay.
We use headlights. We just, on the broad daylight, we'll use headlights.
Yeah.
In Dubai and all, when we drive, we have 6 lanes.
True.
So when you're on the first lane, you are definitely exceeding the speed limit.
Okay.
Because it's 110, but you can go up to 130.
Okay.
Yeah, before it was 120, so you can go up to 140.
Okay.
So they give you 20 kilometers extra.
But I heard that it's not anymore,
Yeah,
now
they're
it's
restricted
just,
now. Yeah, they restricted the 10 kilometers down, so you got only 10 kilometers more.
Okay.
Yeah, but then we found out another cool glitch on the cameras.
Okay.
Snapchat at its peak had the speed calculation when you're driving, when you keep it on your GPS.
Yeah.
Right?
Got the filter,
Yeah. So we keep that on, and it shows at what speed we are going, but our odometer would not be on that speed.
Yeah.
Right? So we took the risk of bypassing an Abu Dhabi camera at the speed we were going at this, which was more than the speed on my odometers. For an example, it was like 135 on the odometer, but on my GPS it says 130.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah,
so if we go 131, we get flashed.
Okay.
We took the risk. We went through a camera, it didn't get flashed.
Okay.
The rest of the year, we bullied everyone on the road to get out of the way.
Okay.
Because everyone is like, he's going 135 and he didn't get flashed. Because we were like, Snapchat. Bro, you just 131 now. Foot off the pedal a little bit, that kind of
It
thing.
depends on what type of car you drive, I mean, if you drive a car like a German car, I mean, if they have like a speed, like if it shows like, if you're doing 90 and then it shows like, 85, then you're in trouble, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
You're in a deep trouble with that.
Yeah.
This was a Civic.
Okay.
Yeah, her like.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, Honda's known for that stuff, They always just put 5 km, extra in this.
Yeah. I hope they don't do that this season though.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. It's just better to just stick to the limit, you know. I mean, what's the rush, you know? Just start early, you know. And if you want to do the fast stuff, stick to the racetracks, you know.
Yeah, that's the advice to most of the people. Stick to the racetrack because there's more fun there.
It's more fun, and you know, it's like a challenge to your, you know, skills rather than just, you know, pure balls and just throwing balls out, you know.
And
even racing is just, I mean, if you have, you know, driven in the Chennai's racetrack, you'll know how scary it is, you know. And
I haven't driven here yet, but Rakesh suggested we should go for a karting at least for once, and I was like, yeah, man, I'm up for it.
Karting, yeah, but I mean, the actual racetrack, it's just one of the craziest, you know. It's like one of those old British kind of racetrack where it's just like, you know, no runoff, it's all grass, so you gotta like just be really brave to just put in a good lap, so.
Yeah, late braking and all, you gotta be careful about that, because otherwise, runoff is what? It's like you get to the grass and then there are tires, that's it?
And then you're just rallying there, you know. Happens quite a bit, you know.
So have you gone off track?
Yeah, I mean, plenty
Of times. Have you crashed it yet?
I mean, any racing driver crashes his car, you know. You're always finding your limit, and you know, you do push it, you know, at the point, and it does exceed a bit, and you know, it happens. But then you jump back in, and then you understand what you did, and you know.
Okay, so you've never been in a massive accident kind of a thing.
Any racing driver, on the racetrack, yeah. Every racing driver has.
You have?
Yeah.
Okay. How was that?
I mean, sometimes it was my fault. Sometimes it's like the people around. You know. Mm-hmm. One time I took some grass and, you know, the car just spun out of control, and it had rained in Chennai the day before. And, like, you know, I didn't realize. I was like, you know, let me just try this, and you know, took some grass, lost traction, and like, you know, it was just like, it was at like 160, something like that, and it was at the exit of the corner. Just took some grass, ate the grass, came back on tarmac, got the grip, went straight to the fence.
Oh,
but nothing happened, you know. I mean, it happens in racing, you know, pretty often. And then after that, you know, the guys fixed the car. I put my quali like, you know, 11, something like that, you know, despite missing all the practice. So I was like pretty good, you know.
That's been nice.
And then and I had a really good race, you know, because of my, you know, problems with the car and stuff. After the crash and stuff, you know, I started last, and then I had to like make up 10 places. I put on a good show for the guys, you know, who came to see me, and it was just, you know,
it was good.
It's all part of racing, you know.
What position did you end up in that race?
I think 10, from 18 to 10.
Oh, like that's a good climb. Yeah. eight people up. That's a good climb.
Yeah. I mean, there's been better also, you know. And for example, in Delhi, you know, we have a car which has a race ABS, so you know how the ABS works, right? So for us, we have the bike point a little late, and you know, it's very different compared to the road car, and the ABS failed. So how the car is designed is to, like, you know, stop with the ABS. That's how the chassis and the roll bars, everything is designed, and it just failed, and had to do the whole race without the ABS, you know.
Yeah.
We came back into the pits. It was one whole crazy race, you know. If you had read about it on the papers or, like, you know, the media, you should watch all those stuff, you know, and the VW episodes, and and then it's like, you know, if you finish in a position, that's where you start for the next race, because we have 2 or 3 races in a weekend. So, and because of that issue, I had to start like you know, just before last. One of my friend hadn't, you know, crashed, and he didn't finish the race, so he started behind me, and I was here. And he's a really good guy, and you know, he was the junior champion last year, and we were both really close, and we were like, all right, dude, we're starting in the back, there are slow people in the front, let's just, you know, be a team and just take one by one and just, you know, try to finish you know, as higher up as possible. And we did that, and then I overtook him after a while, because he was trying to overtake another, you know, girl ahead, and you know, he couldn't, and then I just overtook both of them in, like, you know, 2 corners.
Outside line or inside line?
Yeah, a bit of both. A bit of both. I mean, it's like a left-hander. I was on the inside, and then to the right-hander, next it's the right-hander, so I had to go on the outside and then pass, and then that's the inside for the next corner. That's smart. That's how you, if you know the track by heart, you just know when to hit that. I mean, it's just, there's so many variables to, like, make a pass, and it all happens in the second, and you know. And in that race, I started, like, I think 17, something like that. Finished like P6 or P7, something like that.
Usually what happens in those races, your instincts take over.
Yeah,
Your thinking is just like, it goes along with instincts.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
it's like you're processing so many things, you know, and you're just trying to be very smart, you know. Every time you go off the line, you're losing time, so
Yeah.
you gotta just make sure you stay on the line and be very wise in your moves. And once you just find your groove, you're good to go.
You're good to go, and
Yeah.
then you bully the guy in front of you by going
Yeah,
left,
well,
right,
I mean,
left,
it's
right.
all about mind games, you know.
Oh, it's all about mind games.
It's
It
crazy.
definitely is. Oh, when I go for go karting in Dubai, I go regularly.
Okay.
Not too regular as I would like to, but I used to go regularly.
Okay.
And every time on the track, it's all about mind games with other
Yeah,
people
yeah.
because you don't know any of them and you don't even know how they drive.
True.
So at the beginning itself, you know, you're just like fully focused on your vehicle. And I always have this, like when I go into the track, I just say, I don't know if I'm coming out alive, but I'm gonna do this damn thing, and I'm gonna get my timing on the top 5 or top 10 of the month. You know, that's always my focus when I'm on the track.
Okay.
I have got it on top 10 most of the times. I'll get it on top 10.
Okay.
So when you're on the track, it's just like super intense mind game, and you
Yeah.
don't even realize that till you're actually back on the pit. You stop, you get out, and you're like, was I really trying to pull that shit over there?
Yeah.
Really? Because I remember there was a sharp left when you're coming from a straight curve, you know, it's like a huge big curve.
Okay.
And you just, your foot is down and you know you're on the inside line and
Okay.
you just drift to the outside line, you want to cut in.
Okay.
And everyone brakes hard over there.
Okay.
I just remember once I had to bypass 2 people because my friend was ahead of me and I wanted to like take his case.
Okay.
You know, just for messing around in the track.
Okay.
I did not brake on that turn.
Okay.
And I just put my body weight on the left and I
Okay.
just turned the car around and I bypassed it too. And I was just thinking that was risky.
Okay.
I could have just went smashed into the tires because a couple of people do smash into the tires in that place when they don't brake.
Okay.
During the briefing sessions, they were like, you have to brake there because if
Okay.
you don't and if you lose control, you will go crash over there into the
Okay.
tires. Mental.
It's
Racing
crazy,
is
I mean.
mental, dude.
I mean,
It's-
if you like, you know, come to one of our races, you'll know, you know, after that crazy race in Chennai, you know, after the crash and after all that happened, I was literally shaking after making so many passes, you know, because it was
Yeah.
just crazy, so intense, you know. Our heart rates are always above 150,
That's the
130 would be
heat.
like, yeah, that's crazy, and the
Yeah.
heat as well, you know.
Yeah, and your brain's working in a different. Because for us, see, karting is fun,
Yeah.
but for you guys, when you're on track, I was talking to Rakesh. That's what he was telling me when I really wanted to know. Because I watch F1 a lot,
Okay.
so I follow F1 in every race.
Who's
practice.
your money on?
My money's on Hamilton again this
Hamilton,
season.
alright, man.
Yeah.
Okay, we're good. We're friends.
Yeah.
We're friends.
I've always been on his side. Before I never took any driver. I just watched F1 for F1.
Okay.
But then off lately, I've just been like, dude, that guy knows how to race. You know, like Vettel was lucky with Red Bull, but then you just have to see how Mercedes does this year.
It's hard to, you know, think it's just talent. I mean, he got to the right team at the right time also, but I mean, the skill that kid's got is just crazy, you know.
Yeah.
It's just,
Hamilton.
yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Dude,
I mean,
next
I don't know.
level.
When I think Hamilton, I remember the small kid, you know, in karting, and it's grown so much, you know. And
You
he's-
remember that race in his rookie season? Was it this season after his rookie season when he won the championship? When he didn't win the championship? Rookie
He
season?
did. I mean, last year also. He
No,
won
the rookie, when he came in, did he win the championship?
I think the
When he
second year.
beat Massa on the Brazilian Grand Prix?
Oh yeah,
That was
the second year.
second
yes.
year, right?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, when he bypassed 2 Toyotas to end up over there. Oh my god. Mental race.
Mental.
So when you, I watch all of this and then for you guys, it's like every turn you have to understand how your car performs on that.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you're constantly, you know, thinking, okay, do I have enough grip to do that? And then even if I don't, what do I do? How do I make the pass? How do I not do something stupid, you know? People just, it's so easy to be cocky and just, you know, put your car on the inside and just brake late and then, you know, realize, you know, fuck, it's too late, you know? But then a good racing driver just realizes everything and processes everything, you know, and understands the driver ahead also. And also, you know, it's just like a lot of thinking. You think in all directions, you know, and you just have to always feel the grip and, you know, plan accordingly and make the pass, or just be wise and wait until the next corner and get it done neatly, you know.
So you do study a lot of other drivers too who race with you.
If possible, mostly, you know, it's a very competitive, you know, place, and drivers usually make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
In
if
practice
someone is
sessions, you can't just like have a look. There's no screens in there where you can just have a
I mean,
look.
we have the data,
Okay.
but it's just, you know, like, you can have the data, you can like look at videos, whatever, but it's just not the same as tailing behind a car and
Yeah,
seeing
that's
what he
different.
does. So you're always constantly learning. There are about like 19 other drivers with us, so every 19 drivers, you just okay, this is what this is where he's gonna make a mistake, so let me maximize everywhere else, and when I get here I just pass him easy and not waste my tires by just trying to do something, get back, because we have tires and they get heated up and they degrade pretty fast also, so it's all just managing every little thing and just
this is a lot of information to be processed in and out. So you have a race engineer who keeps giving you all the information.
I mean, it's a one-make championship what I participate in,
so there's only one race engineer for everyone.
There are a couple engineers, but we can always report to an engineer and sort out issues, and VW is just so good at making sure all the cars are equal, so it's a driver's championship, so we just go in, drive, and just win the championship. It's as simple as that.
So even if you have some changes to make to your car, you cannot do that because all of them will have to be done.
We have certain rules. So since it's a one-way championship, all the cars have to be equal. So we get a play in just changing the tire pressures and the roll bar settings, and that's pretty much it.
That's pretty much it.
And seat position, of course. So
the rest is all.
The rest is just everything is just the same in every car, and you have a control over your weight. Because that matters a lot. So I'm sure even in karting, if you're like 80 kilograms and your friend's like 50, he's just gonna
fly past you. Yeah, I've had that cases happen to me. There's a skinny guy fly past me, and I'm like, how are you flying? In corners, he's not flying past. Straight line, he'll just fly past you.
Corner exits, it's just crazy. For me, I'm pretty tall. And I weigh about like 86, 85, so that's also like it's like 10 kilos. If you follow Formula 1, you would know that 75 is the weight limit for a driver, so if they're under, they get ballast, and if they're over, well, we're on our own, so
so you need to do that also, right? So after every race, you guys weight is recorded.
The car is weighed with our equipments and ourselves also, so we gotta make sure that the minimum weight is maintained for all the cars.
Do you lose weight in these races?
Oh yeah, we do.
How much do you lose?
Over a weekend, the maximum I've lost is about 4 kilograms.
Damn.
Yeah, and it's a very hot place, Coimbatore and Chennai. So we go in on Friday, and then by the time it's Monday, I lost 4 kgs, and it happens pretty often.
Wow.
But that's like maximum, But mostly people just lose about 2 kgs max.
And
Because we race for shorter durations, not like Formula 1 where, Formula 1 they lose about, 4 or 5 kgs, maybe even more.
Maybe even more, and they drive at.
And they do that in a couple hours.
They hit.
Yeah, and that happens in like just like 4 or 5 hours, or it depends on how long. I mean, it's usually 2 hours,
For you guys?
For a Formula 1.
Okay. Yeah.
For us, it's like over a weekend. So.
So how long is one race? One duration?
30 minutes, 35.
35 minutes, and 35 minutes.
This is not like.
How many laps does it?
Depends on which circuit. If it's Coimbatore, it's like a very short circuit. It's about just like 2 kilometers under, so something like that. For that, we do about like 15, 18 laps.
That's a good enough laps. Yeah. And you can work your way up.
Yeah. In Chennai, something like 10. I'm not really sure. It's been a while since we raced in the cars.
Chennai track is smaller.
It's bigger. It's bigger than Coimbatore.
It's bigger, so that's why you got less number of.
Yeah, and Delhi we do only 8 because
do you use the full F1 circuit or
the entire circuit?
Entire as it was done in F1.
Yes, exactly.
That would be, dude. I remember playing on my. I played the F1 games.
F1
2013, I think. 2013.
2013.
Yeah, I had that game.
Okay.
The last of the V8 engines, right, at that time. Yeah, and India track. I hated that track, dude. I hated that track.
Okay.
Because you've got 2 straight lines.
Yeah.
And then 2 hard brakings. And it's so weird because I play with all, I don't play with all the controls helping me.
Okay.
I have to make my own decisions on everything,
Okay.
on traction, on differentials, on brakings,
Okay.
and all of those things I set up as per how I want the car to perform.
Okay.
And India track always fucks me on that. It's like I never understood the track.
Okay. Well, I mean, what were you struggling with? Like,
braking stuff, when you're just too close and then you need to brake inside line when you turn in, your exit's not that good. And there's a second exit. Remember the first straight line, and then there's a second straight line exit where you have the turn.
Yeah, the right turn.
The left turn, I think. When you go first, start off
first
right,
straight, and then it's like a right, and then it's like a left turn,
and then you have another right.
Straight.
Another right.
Straight,
and then you have another a chicane kind of thing.
Yeah, left and left, and
then you have the wrong. That part I never got it right. I'll always lose positions. Although it's a game, I'll just keep restarting that thing. I was like, no, I'm not losing 5 positions. I slaved my ass to get in the top 4 in qualifications. I'm restarting the race again.
Okay.
That's as experience as my F1 goes. But then, how was that for you in real?
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, once you get it right, it's just so satisfying. You just go in there, lift off, let the car turn. You do brake, because our cars are heavy. You brake it, and then you just coast. It just naturally pushes you like out wide, and then like you just come back in, lift off, point the car in, and then just put the damn thing in there.
Damn.
You do like about 160, 180
in that turn.
Not in that.
Okay.
Before that, before that 180.
Yeah.
You brake, downshift. You'll be at like 130 something.
Mm-hmm.
You just take it like 130, 120, and then you just have to like just tap on the brake again. Just slow down a little bit more for the next left-hander.
Yeah.
And then just put it through there, and it'll be off. And it's just satisfying. Yeah.
Oh.
And for the Formula cars, it's just a lift off, and they'll be taking it in like 140 through the corner, I guess.
Oh yeah.
That's
They
so
do that
satisfying.
pretty,
Yeah.
They do that pretty.
It's just, I don't know, man. I used to hate the track as well. I'll be like, well, it's an Indian track and it's never been used, and But then the first time I went there, you could still see Sebastian Vettel, Hamilton. Everything is just still there,
Still there, huh?
The paddock, I think Kimi Räikkönen was there.
Mm-hmm.
That's where our VW paddock was, when we went for the racing event.
Okay.
And it was just like so nostalgic and like, it's just so special. I mean, everybody has to drive. I mean, it's no joke, like, it's the second fastest track in the world.
Oh, is it?
Second fastest.
Oh, I didn't know
track.
that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. No.
Yeah, neither did I, but it is, after Monza, Monza, right?
Monza's a
fastest.
crazy track, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, and this one's the second fastest, so that's just crazy. The main straight, the back straight.
Is F1 ever coming back to India?
Not really sure. I mean, you know how it is, right? It's in Delhi, and the port is in Bengal, the Kolkata port.
Yeah, but
the logistics.
Some of them they drive through, some of them they just like fly through. I think
Yeah.
was that an issue with the whole tax thing?
Yeah, it's the tax thing. I mean, how it works in the other continents is like, you bring a car, you take it out, no tax. But here, for bringing it in, tax, taking it out, another tax, and that's just, it's already pretty expensive. And when you put so much tax on it, it's just not profitable.
They should really reconsider that, because I think keeping F1 in India, if you kept F1, if this year was F1, last year was F1, and a couple of another, you get loads in one of those 5-6 years. You lock down a contract and you do this, motorsport in India will increase in a different level, and then you'll have a lot of people driving different sort of cars here.
True.
And much better cars. Government will be forced to work on the roads because they need to provide better roads for these cars. I think most of the politicians sitting on the top just decided it's too much work.
Yeah, I mean, you can't just blame on one set of people,
I mean, it's a group of set of people.
Have you been to BSE before? No.
Which the Noida track?
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
It's just, I don't know. I mean, do you follow Lewis Hamilton on Instagram and stuff?
I
do.
do.
Know the whole
I do.
issue about how he said, India's poor, all that. Do you know about that?
No, I didn't know about that. No.
What he did was, India is so poor and it needs so much, to be done rather than a racetrack which is never used again, something like that. And people just were like, dude, we do need a track, and they were like fighting against Hamilton. But what he's saying, I don't completely agree, but then it's true, as you go to the racetrack, there's just like, poverty all around it, and then there's this big facility in the middle of nowhere,
That's kind of like, it is depressing when you go to a
But I mean, if you think about it, just because it's there, the other surroundings will grow just because it's there, that's also there. So there's always two sides to the story.
If you keep this, there's going to be the people who live around it will, they'll have a lot of tourists coming in, so they'll try to do something. It's always, any sport is never bad for any country. Because it will just increase your economy.
Yeah.
That is true. Look at Qatar. Although they use Indians and Bangladeshis and Sri Lankans and Pakistanis for building their stadiums, and I hope India goes there. Are they going there? Are they? I don't know. I think qualifiers are going to start off.
Anything motorsport, I'm your guy. But anything besides that,
I hope they go there. I hope Indian team goes there. That's their aim, though. AFC, they did good in UAE tournament, but I hope they go there. But their economy right now is so much better. There's so much, like, people won't believe this. Is still, man, UAE still does better. No, it doesn't. Qatar, everyone's going to Qatar right now because World Cup's there. It's 2022. This is 2020 already. 2 more years to go. They'll make, people who know how to make money will make money there. Then you've got the World Cup, and then you'll still earn money in 1 or 2 years after that, and then you move on to a different place. Like Russia benefited out of the World Cup, and like how. Like in motorsport, but it's so sad. But 24 hours race in Dubai is not that big.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it is. I mean.
Like what's that? Was that Le Mans?
Le Mans.
The Le Mans 24. Yeah, that's like crazy.
Yeah, I mean
that's a prestige race.
Because this is like a GT kind of races. There's a lot of different racing. There's GT, which is like the touring car. That's what I do. And then there's the Formula cars, and then the LMP1 cars. That's like. Formula 1, and then there's LMP1, which is like the top level of touring cars. But in
Le Mans, all of them take part in
everything.
There are different categories.
But this is just dedicated mostly towards, and even the Le Mans cars also participate in it. It's like just a different series. And it's not, the reach isn't that much, but it is, good. It's good for your resume. So
yeah, it is good for a resume. I had crazy fun being on a track because I saw a couple of accidents go down, and it's like whoa. And then you're spending 24 hours with them. So you're literally sleeping on the track. With them. So you got your own place. You sleep there. You're up after every. Or 2 hours. You're taking substitution with the other guy, and you're back on there. You're just fully focused. And then you see how these drivers live too at that situation, because not all are, really coming from a team that they have their own accommodations and stuff. They live there. They've got containers and stuff. They got beds put in, and they got a tent with food and everything, and these guys are just like back and forth always, and the race is going on for 24 hours. It's mental. You're completely drained out by the end of it, because it's like 2 days for us.
Okay.
So we go 6 hours one day before when they do the qualifications and everything, and then you start the 24 hours the next day. You got another 12 hours to sleep, and then you're back on the track. It's mental.
That's crazy.
But
it's just.
Is that something you want to do? 24 hours?
I'm not really sure. I like my races short and fun.
Yeah. Because there are like 5 drivers, so you can just always keep taking turns.
Yeah, but it's just you do a good race, and then your teammate fucks up because he had a crash. I don't know. I don't know, man. It's just I would stick to like circuit racing, which are just like just like Formula 1. I like those type of racing. Endurance, maybe I will, but I don't know. Not so sure.
Not so sure. Not now. So let's talk about where you started off from.
The racing?
Yeah. So when was it that you started off? 10 years old?
I mean, how did you know?
I have to do my research on you, man.
Okay. I'm curious.
If I have a guest on board, I need to know a little bit about him, so I got to do a little bit of a research, look up online and see some articles and this and stuff.
I'm surprised it's out in the world, Yeah, I mean, I did, how it works in India. I mean, if you have lived in India and learned how to drive in India, you know that everybody starts off with a bike,
Yeah.
So my uncle is, I'll be like kind of, young and not able to like reach the ground and stuff. So my uncle just taught me how to use the clutch on the bike and, throttle and just the brakes. I can't reach down, so I can do the clutch, the gear, the brakes, front brakes, and everything. I just understood how it works, and I used to drive, and he used to sit in the back and just balance, when we stopped. So and then we had a car back then. We had a Lancer,
beautiful
not the
car.
Evo.
Yeah,
just the normal.
I had the Lancer too.
Okay.
Beautiful car. Yeah.
And we had a empty space for the car to be parked, and I was like, okay, so the clutch is here, and the clutch is in the foot for the car, and I always sit in the front, even though it's illegal in the other countries when you're a kid, But in India it's fine. I just put the seatbelt on, I sit and I just observe, and and I just try to drive the car, whenever I can, and near my house there's a huge space to park the car, and I just drive around there, and I just took it out on the road, and I've been driving ever since, and
Yeah.
just applied whatever I saw, and started
That's
driving.
how usually it always ends up being, right?
Yeah, I mean, some things are you're just made for some things, and I don't know, that's what I was made for, and I never stopped, figuring out a way to get into racing, and luckily I did last year, and
So how does his interest for racing come from?
yeah, I mean, I've always had interest for machines and vehicles, like when I was a kid I wanted to get all the licenses available, cars, bikes, boats, planes, whatnot, I don't know, I guess it kind of comes from my grandpa, who was he was in Dubai, he was working in Dubai, and he can operate cranes, trucks, trailers, cars, whatnot, whatever you name it. He's a great mechanic, so I guess it kind of passed out on me, and I just figured out how to drive it, when I was 10 years old. And when you go into motorsport, everybody learns driving it when they're 10 years old or younger. So
yeah, you have to. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're not that special anymore because everyone around you is the same.
Yeah.
But when normal people ask you, oh my God, 10 years old, that's crazy, dude. How did you do that? But that's how it began, and I don't know, I always kept, okay, yeah, I should be, better, and I always kept thinking, okay, how do I, better my driving skills, and that's what landed me up here, and, the search never stopped, even though I was, studying, and, I had no, I don't do karting back then, and, my dad's, very, he's safety is important, stuff like that, how Indian parents are, any parent is, nobody wants their kid to go in such a dangerous sport. So I didn't start out in karting, I just drive the cars, because I was kind of okay, normal height, I guess, when I was 10 years old, and then by the time I was in grade 8 I was this tall, and I'm still this tall, so I could fit in most of the cars, and I've been driving since I was 10, and just every single time I could get an opportunity I would be driving. So
you always had that interest of racing since a younger age.
Yeah.
And then when did it materialize?
Well, since I was based in India and in Chennai, I couldn't really find a way to just get started, and there was really nowhere I could go. I would just DM people, whoever it is, and just, okay, how do I get started? And you know how people are, right? The celebrities or the popular races in India. I mean, I never got a reply, and then I kept Googling, and one day I'm back from college, and I'm okay, I see this, VW auditions are out, and I was okay, let me sign up for it. What's the worst that could happen? They're gonna tell me I'm slow, and I just show up in Pune. I just fly all the way there, and I take up the selections, and I'm top 15, and I got selected right away. And
right away to the Oh, that's good. Yeah, not having done karting, just going there straight away, that's good.
Yeah, but I did have some experience on driving cars, even on the tracks also, so when I have my uncle to take the cars to the track and stuff like that, so, and my friends would take it to the track, and I just swapped seats and just drive around a bit, and I do drive cars a lot, so the basic instinct and the knowledge about driving car and understanding the physics of the car, it's there, and I just had to just listen to what VW coaches had to say, and I just improvised, and I'm also a health freak, so the testing for VW is health, the lap times, so I had health was really good, lap times maybe not so much because I didn't have any karting or any other experience, so but I still made it, and and then I've learned so much about racing in just the last year, from VW, and it's just, I don't know, it's just crazy.
So when you went in for the selection, they asked you if you had prior experience, if you raced anywhere else or anything as such?
Yes, actually how the racing works is we have two categories, the pro and the junior. So I had no official FIA races. I just had practice, so I don't qualify for the pros, and I'll be racing in the junior championship. So we all won together, but then the points are calculated, differently for the juniors and the pros. So I was a junior last year, and since I had done already 10 races, I'll be a pro now.
Okay.
So
so this year you're going pro.
This year I'll be fighting against the pro for the overall championship. So
okay.
And for the selections, that was there, and they'll do a whole background check and see what experiences I have. So I didn't have any. So
so all the people how many people are going from the junior from last year to pro?
Everybody.
Everybody. Huh?
It's like if you don't participate in, if you participate in 10 races in the last 5 years, you're a pro because you already raced. Why that exists is because they have a junior championship, which allows the driver to just get a free seat in the next year's VW Cup, whatever is at that time. So for that, they are doing this to just promote motorsport. Since it's already expensive, the one who really deserves it gets the free seat the next year. And the overall championship winner, the pro, he gets a free seat in the higher series, which is the 1600 I was talking about before the podcast. So,
what was your finishing for last season?
I'm not so sure. It was like somewhere in the 10, something like that. It was like I had a lot of bad luck in the last season, and I was also not.
It's your first season too. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean the skill was there. I was able to compete with the junior champion last time. He was also my close friend. He's called Shubo. And I mean, I could compete with them as well. It's all about the mental fitness and the physical fitness and the talent all working together. So I struggled quite a bit, but I've learned so much, and I think I'm ready to take on 2019. So
2019.
Yeah.
2019 is gonna be a good year.
Yeah.
So you got this year to go, and then next year you're gonna be again in the pro, or if you end up in the top, you go on to the 1600.
Yeah. So
that's your aim right now. 1600.
Yeah, I mean the plan is to do 2 years in a series. That's how every racing driver does. They just try 2 seasons in the championship. Even Lewis Hamilton, he took, I think, 2 years in Formula 3 or Formula 2. I don't know, not really GP2 or I think Formula 3, something like that. He had 2 years, and 2 years you learn so much about the car, and then you're gonna have to move on to the next thing. So that's the plan, just win the championship. But again, it's a very competitive environment. You never know who's gonna compete with you. So that's also there, and just but every racing driver wants to win the championship. So
yeah, that is there, man. Winning the championships.
Yeah, and it is in me. So it's not like too far for me to like get the championship. So I'm really confident I can do it, and we'll just see how it unfolds.
That's good. That's good. So we'll have to. From there, it's 1300, and then you'll have to look at your options outside the country.
1300.
Sorry, 1600. Yeah, sorry.
1600's the crazy one.
The crazy one.
And if you have any friends, just please advise never do the 1300. It's just so nice.
Is that MRF?
Yeah.
1300 one?
Yes.
Yeah. They do look like. I've seen pictures of them.
Yeah.
They look weird. They look like their wheels might come off anytime.
I don't know. One of my friends told me that our VW coach, when he was younger and racing, they used the same cars and they're still racing with them. That's been like 20 years. So
20 years with the same. Oh my god.
I don't know, man. I just don't trust those cars.
So then after 1600, if that's your that's the thing you want to do here, and then you'll have to start looking abroad.
Probably. Even as I finish the Ameos, I can, I'm still eligible to do all that. Depends on how the sponsorship looks like, because as you keep going higher up the ladder, the money plays a vital role in, getting to the championships and stuff. So we have the Ameos, which cost, let's just say 1,000 euros. Not the actual amount, 1,000 euros. But if you were to do the same thing in Europe, which is the closest competitors, the Clio Cup, and that would be like, I don't know, about like 10,000 or 100,000 even. But
Euros.
The same exact car. Yeah, euros.
Okay.
So that's just like,
But then you have more races on that.
Not really,
Again, four
rounds. I'm not sure how that works, but it's like pretty similar, The car is similar, and it's just too damn expensive elsewhere. So in India, I'm just lucky that VW does, how they do it,
Do they do scouting here for drivers to become a part of GP3, GP2, or become developmental drivers for the F1 or even other sort of series or something like that?
At the moment, they have the Junior Championship, which is a free drive, and then they have the Pro Championship, which is a free drive in the 1600. and the champion automatically gets a seat in the ITC championship, which is run by VW. They have a separate car to compete with the other cars in the Indian Racing Championship, and they'll be like, they could be a development driver if they're good enough. So that's what they offer, and they offer a lot of connections as well. We have driver exchange programs where we can go abroad and race.
Mm-hmm.
So that can be arranged by VW for us, and from there it's just how much we market ourselves and get ourselves better seats and keep
you need to have a strong team that works.
Yeah, or you need to have a strong personality yourself first to get the team.
Yeah, that's true. But both go hand in hand.
Yeah.
I always say that both goes hand in hand, because you could be an amazing driver.
Yeah.
But if nobody knows who you are, you're not gonna get the seat. Even if you win and
very
do
true.
good,
That's very true,
you may not win the championships. And it's always like that. You may not win the championships, but then that's what the whole scouting process is like. Right? When you watch someone who doesn't win the championship but is in one of those cars, and you just see that, dude, maybe if you keep that guy on board and tweak him a little bit, put some fuel there and get his fire up a little bit, he could be a better driver for a different car or something like that.
That's true.
So it would be great if a lot of people actually come down and scout people here too. For that. I don't know if that's how it works in the racing,
Yeah.
In football it works that way, but I don't know about that.
Football, it's the investment is very low. I mean, I'm doing the highest level of touring car championship in India, and if you take like football championship, the entry fee would be like nothing.
Yeah, that's nothing.
That's nothing. But
it's a different economics altogether, actually.
Yeah, but they do have their own sponsor. They do need the same amount of money but for different reasons. Like they might need a high performance coach who costs like very so much money, and we have our expenses. But the thing is, even for the basic expenses to maintain the car, to fuel up the car, keep it running, it's just so much. And what the sponsors given and what they get in return, they just sometimes don't feel like it's worth it, because it's just so damn expensive.
Because you have to pay for your own seat in this game.
Yeah.
But in the other game, you don't have to pay for your own seat.
We can cover it with sponsors.
Definitely.
Yeah, but it's just that it's just too expensive. To make a football, it might cost like $1,000, but to make a car, it costs like one course though.
Yeah, it's a lot of money involved in this. Yeah.
So that's always there. It's just the expense. It's just too damn expensive, and you'll only realize once you go like very high up the ladder. If you follow Formula One closely, you'll know that the front, the nose, which they just swap so easily, costs about 35,000 pounds. So that's like legit, like a brand new car in your parking lot.
Exactly.
They just swap it just like that. So it's just very expensive, but yeah, it is what it is.
That's pinnacle of motorsport.
Yeah, but that again, that helps you. Like a good driver, isn't necessarily a really good driver unless he has the sponsors to back it up. And then mediocre driver has a really good sponsor, he's like gonna go up way faster than even like a really good driver. So a good driver has to be good at marketing and also the driving part of it. That's what VW always insists also to every driver, to just grow as a marketing expert as well, to just market themselves, and also just develop their racing skills as well.
This is one aspect of racing I never understood before, that you have to get sponsors for your own also.
Let's just wait until that's done.
This is why I don't do afternoon, because there's construction's going on here. They make noise, and then you have people like this come through. So that's why I prefer doing it at night. No one's gonna bother me or anywhere,
Okay.
Like so much.
Maybe just a little bit of sound deadening here and there.
Yeah.
Should be fine,
this is a home, man. Don't want to do anything to this.
Okay.
I move to another place.
Okay.
You watch Joe Rogan's podcast?
Really.
He's my inspiration, kind of thing. Podcasting. Okay. He touches all subjects.
Okay.
And
But how do you deal with getting the audience right? Because it's kind of mixed, like.
I haven't started releasing them yet.
Okay.
I'll start releasing them this week. I've got the 6th podcast episode that I've done with.
Okay.
So I've got so much content to release.
Okay.
So I'll start releasing them.
Okay. So I guess you'll get the analytics once you do that.
Yeah, once I do that. But I'm not doing this focus thing.
Okay.
And I'm like,
Okay.
I'm gonna focus on this, that.
Yeah, but then how do you deal with keeping all of your audience engaged? I guess that's just with your personality, I guess.
It's not my personality too, because a lot of people don't know me.
Okay.
Not some big shot guy. A lot of people know me now.
Yeah, but that's the whole point. You're trying to get people to know
Yeah,
you.
but it's more like topics.
Okay.
Like there are people who would sit in and they would listen and they would understand, because this is where it started off with me, was when I was listening to Joe Rogan's, because I was watching Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Okay.
He was on that show.
Okay.
And then from there I went to Simon Cox.
Okay.
And then from there I went to can't remember. I had a couple of other people in it who were like astrophysics and this and that. And then slowly went off to stand-up comedians he had on that, and then slowly it went off to writers and other people in all fields, political analysts, this that. So it was all about different subject. And it was all based on the one of the reasons why I call this Truth from Experience is because when I have people on board, they want to express what they really want to express, and there's no time limit for you. And that's the whole thing. This idea came up because I was watching in news. And I was watching Republic News because I've heard so much drama about it. I was like, what the hell is this? Let me watch. But that fellow, what is this guy? The shouting guy in Republic. Anuranjan or something like that. Yeah, some guy,
TV guys.
one of those guys. And he was just keep on shouting. I was like, yo, let him talk. He's saying something important. Let him talk. People are not having enough time to express what they want to express. That's the whole reason of doing this whole podcast. Like people can express what they really want to express.
And so far, these people stop expressing whatever they want to express. Okay.
It's pretty loud, dude.
Yeah. Can't do anything about it. I mean, I'm sure you can edit those out.
Man, it's a lot of work, man.
Yeah.
So you have to
Yeah.
pull off the... And when he does this, he produces, right? So what he does is, even he gets a headache with these things suddenly all of a sudden, because he does a lot of voice recordings too. And then he'll be like, oh my god. And then he has to sit down, find out that layer, remove that layer, and make this pristine clear. It's a lot of hard work. And I don't want him getting involved with this much, because he's got his own projects going on. So I'm like, I want to do this, so I'd rather calm down, let this car go down, and then we'll start again. Then do it. So wait, what were we talking about?
The expense in the racing, the money part of it.
Yeah, the money part of it. Like, I didn't know how the economics worked when they have to find their own sponsors and stuff. I was approached by one of the guy who works for Valtteri Bottas. Back in Dubai when I was running my events company. And he was saying about they were trying to secure some Middle Eastern sponsors. Some brands who can come in and they can take him on. So I was like, why would... I mean, it's Valtteri Bottas. He was racing for Williams at that time, and I was like, he's a good driver. All he has to do is they can get people easily to sponsor him, but then it turns out it doesn't work that way when the realities were different, because he was looking at sponsors to fund his seat also at the same time. And then I was like, whoa, this is how this sport works. Then I started paying much deeper attention, and then I found out Sergio Perez owns shares in which is now Racing Point, which was Force India and all. I was like, the economics is different.
No, I mean, if you think about it, if you want to practice football, you just pay like some, $50, get into a field, just play, and just that's how it is. But if you want to test a car, you need to rent the car, the mechanics, the track, and everything. That's gonna cost a fortune, So it's not easy to get into, and then even if you got into, then getting a seat in a racing event, it's just not so simple, as the other sport,
So this is a sport where you're good, then only you put your foot in.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
very true. If you're just, if you don't know what you're doing and you just put your money on it, and it's a bad name for the sponsor, for yourself, and then you're not learning anything out of it, and it's just, I mean, if you know Toto Wolff, Toto Wolff, the Mercedes team manager, I mean, he was just like, he did the same thing. He tried to race. Do you listen to the F1 podcast?
I didn't see the podcast, but I saw his documentary thing when he was racing for some other teams and stuff, but he never made it into F1 and all.
Yeah, he did. Because the younger guys are just too damn good. That's what he said. And he just quit it. I don't know. It's just how it is. The amount of money you're putting in, you gotta be able to, like, you know, make up for it by just doing good at it, you know.
Yeah.
And there's just no point in just, you know, putting the money in and just, you know, without any skill. That's just pointless.
So do you see your future still revolved around motorsports?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I am doing pretty good, you know, marketing side of it and also the sport side of it. So, and you know, the fire for the sport, it just never dies. So
never dies. And you have to keep that up. It's so hard, especially when this is you know, the only sport that you can even make it out and be somewhere is cricket. You know,
for the country,
as Indians, it's so hard. You know, I had a personal story with football was years ago when I was 18 or 19. I was 19. I remember I was 19 and a half. I got a trial in Al Wasl Football Club in Dubai. I went for 1 day trial, and the coach told me you can stay for a week. You know, do a week trial. So pretty cool, I'll do it. I got the trial because another coach I was playing for an all-stars amateur football team there. And they like to keep it, you know, amateur level professionalism over there. It's pretty cool. And he told the coach that he's from Saudi, you know, he came from Saudi and, you know, he wants to try out. So they were like, okay, so I did my tryout, and then they were like, stay for a week. I stayed for a week. I gelled well with the team because I picked up the game because I was playing the Saudi type of game, which is very easy. But then I started playing with white people where I was just knocked out and thrown around left and right, and then I realized what football is. And then I had the same kind of thing on my trial where I used to knock people down with my game and everything. So they realized, okay, this guy is good as a defensive midfielder. And then when they told me, okay, cool, we would like to, like, you know, sign you up on a contract kind of thing, you know, to play with this, and then from there you can move on to they were under 21, so you can move on to the reserves and then go on to the main team, whatever. That's future. You don't know where it's gonna go. So like, okay, we'll sign the contract. They told me to bring in my passport. I bought in my passport. They looked at it and they got a shock. They were like, "You're Indian." I was like, "Yeah, I'm Indian." I was like, "But I thought you were from Saudi." I was like, "I'm from Saudi, but I'm an Indian." And they're like, "Oh no, we can't sign you because we have only limited number of people that we can sign, foreign nationals. Only GCC nationals we can sign." I was like, great. That was a crash of my whole football thing because I was 19. That was an age you have to make it at that time. If you don't do it at that time, you just focus on something else then. Don't waste your time kind of thing. So that's when I moved on to coaching, you know. I was like, oh, fuck this, I'm going to go into coaching, you know. Turns out I'm good at that. Oh, thank God. I'm so happy. I don't ever want to play again. I'll just coach. You know, I'm so happy at that.
But it's kind of, I mean, I don't know. You could have been a potential, you know, popular football guy, you know.
Could have been that. If I was not an Indian citizen, I could have been. But then, as much as I love this country, there is some strong drawbacks. Now it's better. If that happened 10 years ago, I was 18, 19. I'm like 29, 30 years old now. If I was in India and trying out for an ISL team, I could have got in.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? So we're missing out on these developments in India, which is coming so slow towards different sort of sports. You know, it's kind of, you know, you have that fire, you have that passion, but then the circumstances around you haven't developed that much to push you to that, you know?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at any racing series, you know, like if you look at the foreign guys, you know, they just come in and they're just like a crazy fast, you know, because they have that much amount of track time, and here money is a factor, and you know, we get very limited track time, and the sport, you know, it is at the level, but not in, you know, all of the series conducted. So, you know, people just have to push a lot more, and we need to find a way to just maximize the track time by just keeping the money low as well, you know. It's just kind of trying to find the balance between, you know, expense and, you know, the experience out of it. And
so the tracks over here, since you're from Chennai and you're taking part in Volkswagen, do the Chennai tracks like go easy on you on charging you on the track time, giving you more track time? Do they support the normal talent that is here? It's like, okay, we got this guy from Chennai who's racing in Volkswagen. Let's give him a certain amount of track time as a part of our state. Because they keep saying Tamilians and Malus say Malus and Andhra people say other. Like, there's got to be some solidarity in this way.
Yeah, but it's motorsport. It's expensive, so money is money. No matter,
so
even if you're Naren Karthikeyan, even if you're a Lewis Hamilton, money is money for you. Even if Lewis Hamilton wants to do a lap here, it's gonna cost the same for him.
But he's not Indian. On top of that, he's not Tamilian. I'm talking about. Look, how do I put this? When you're a homegrown talent, right? Tamil Nadu is your home. That's how we put it, because it's how it is. And so, when you're a homegrown talent racing in a good series, which is which I would say, is this
It's a national event.
It's a national event, right?
And the car is international spec, and everything is international rules or FIA specs.
So it's a national event with an international rules. So, don't they have take some effort into nurturing? Okay, what do I have to do as part of this state to nurture this talent that is here who's taking part in this race?
I mean, I am at the top of the touring car championships in the country, but if you look at it globally, this is like the entry level. So I get support from where I am. Like in my university, I got massive support, and I was like a little kid in the university, and I go everywhere and I race and stuff. And university has helped me out a lot in just getting my name out there and just getting people to know about motorsport and doing all that. That way, yeah. But when you come to the motorsport side of it, like the racetrack, the officials and all that, it's just money is money,
So it goes back to
until I'm like if I win a world championship, maybe they'll look at me, but only for a certain time, and then it's all money again. Like, what's in it for them to do that for me?
There's a lot in it for you to do for that. I mean, they have very bad marketing people, is what I would say in that case.
That's very true,
because if you're a homegrown talent and you're racing in this thing, and if I own the racetrack in Chennai, I'll be like, dude, I'm gonna give you some extra time to do there, and I'll have people come down and watch you.
True, but I don't want to.
And I'll charge other people for them to go to. Money is money, but at the same time, because you're just like my dude, he's from Chennai.
Yeah, but I don't want to get into the politics of that.
Yeah, you don't want to. I understand that.
That's just how it is.
It's very. See, this is how a lot of people don't look at things. How Americans do it when it comes down to sports, or how Europeans do it when it comes down to sports, right? It's a different ball game how they play. If you've got a talent, and you're going to nurture him, and he's from your place, right? You're going to have a lot of people who are going to be influenced by that. Valentino Rossi's town, a lot of people got into that sport just because of Valentino Rossi. And Valentino Rossi at his early ages, when he was just making it through the series, and they were just promoting him in his town. They had, I don't know, I can't actually go on record and say they had a track, but I think they had a track somewhere close by, and they they were like, oh, he's from our place, and we got to nurture him, and then we'll have more people getting involved. There's a lot of moving parts in this that get involved.
I mean, if you look at Verstappen, there's a shop called Verstappen Shop where they just sell stuff Verstappen, designs and whatnot.
But that's like now when he made it, right? I'm talking about early years.
Early years.
When you have someone who's nurturing from there, you've got to push them to it, because at the end of the day, it's gonna come back to you economically anyways.
That's true, but it's also like my talent for projecting myself out there, and also their support. So I did my part, And if I get it or I don't, it's fine, But
and now it's their turn to do it.
Yeah.
That's solidarity should be there.
They have to do that for everyone, not just me, Even just being a part of the VW group is just such an accomplishment. Like, we compete against 120 people shortlisted, and there's about 1,500 people, and then making it to the top 15 is just not an easy task.
It's not.
Just, and everybody, the people the test is conducted in Pune, and the locals know the track better than anybody else. And
True.
you being an outsider, go in there and beat their asses and be in the top 15. That's such a great thing, and every single one of them deserves to, deserve some sort of promotion and just everything there is,
How many Tamilians are there in your current last year and now going into pro?
Last year I was the only one from Chennai.
Okay.
And I was the only Tamil guy, so that was also like a good marketing tool for last year.
Yeah.
But I think from my sources there might be another Tamil guy to bond with me this year, so it'll be a combined promotion with my pal.
Yeah, have to, man.
Yeah.
Because this is where, being in your position, it's a lot of good. It's a lot of good. Being like the only guy from this state going off the race and that.
But again, it's also sad because we have 3 racetracks in India. One is the international circuit in Delhi, and 2 of them right in Tamil Nadu, like one Coimbatore, one in Chennai.
Yeah.
So, and it's so bad that only 2 guys show up for the race, and everybody else is just not from around here. We need more guys to just be aware that it's literally right beside us and we don't know about it,
True.
So that's my goal, to just reach out and just help whoever, needs help to get into racing. And even this year, I just helped out a lot of people. I told them, okay, yeah, the selections is happening. This is what it is. This is what you should do. And I just help whoever asks me, whenever they DM me, I just reply and I tell them, you know what, this is what it is. Because when I reached out to people and asked for help, nobody did. And I don't want to be that person. I want to give back to the sport and, just whoever it is, just whatever, even if it's a lame question, that's what I always tell my fans and friends, even if you want to know how many wheels a car has, you can ask me, I'll tell you, because you have that, the eagerness to learn and just, be better as a racing driver, or just learn about cars. I'm all ears and I can help you out, and I just want to give back to motorsport, and also make sure the young guys don't just fool around on the road and be unsafe and,
yeah, especially India.
Yeah, because it's so easy to get to the racetrack. People, including me, used to think that you need a license to be on a racetrack.
No, you don't.
All that stuff like that. You don't.
Yeah.
And people think you need a race car or whatnot. You just take your own car and
just go there.
Yeah, go there. Just a helmet, working seatbelt, a car with good tires and brakes. You're good to go. And it doesn't cost that much. I mean, it is expensive.
It is expensive.
It's affordable. You can do it once a year at least, if you can save up right and stuff like that,
True. And
it's much braver to do that on the track than just, breaking the speed limit. I mean, no offense.
Yeah. No offense taken over there. We're a wild bunch. We do that. But I don't do that in India though.
Okay.
No, I don't do that here. But I go 1 kilometer, I interact with so many people and living beings on the way. It's not easy for me. It's over here, I'm because when it's a different scenario there. Ain't nobody crossing the road over there all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So it's a different scenario. So
yeah,
you mess about that.
If you do travel, you do see people speeding and and on the bikes without proper gear.
Yeah, that kind of pisses me off, by the way. I love bikes.
Yeah, I do too.
I love bikes. And then when I see someone riding with no gloves, no shoes on, alright, and no jeans.
No helmets.
Oh, the helmet is important. Definitely important.
They don't
that
wear
goes
that
without
here.
saying. They just wear a helmet, shorts, and then no gloves too.
Yeah.
And then right now the bike CCs are getting increased. Because
Yeah.
where we come from, the starting is 600.
Yeah.
And then you go 1,000.
True, yeah.
There's no way you're getting on a 600 with no
without
proper
it,
gear on. You're dead if you get on a bike with no proper gear on.
Yeah.
So coming here with 300, even 300 on Indian roads is fast.
Yeah, kind of is.
Yeah.
I mean, because I know I've driven bikes, I'm used to those leader bikes, and I learned in those stuff as well. And when I come here and try to drive the smaller ones, I'm always hitting the limiter and just destroying the engine because it's just too damn slow. You're used to you have a car, you want to drive economically, you just push it to 60 or 80, and then you just coast with the car.
Yeah.
And you do the same thing in a 150 or 300. The engine's just dying there because but yeah, that's what people are used to, and it's so scary. And SRM, right?
Yeah.
One in KTR. It's just very scary. You see there's just crazy amount of cars and bikes, and it's just too damn unsafe to do what the people here do, you know.
Yeah, they should just get their bike on a track and drive it around.
I do that, you know. I race for VW, but then if I find like, okay, KTM putting up a, you know, track there, I tell my friends, dude, you own a Duke, go there, you know. I have nothing. I just want them to be safe and have fun at the same time, you know. Tell them go to the track. They do, and then they're happy, you know. And then they don't do it on the road because they know how much more talent requires to, like, you know, perform on the track than on the road. And then they realize, okay, it's not worth doing it here because there's no talent. It's just the bike, you know, doing what it has to do. And
it's a weird feeling when we go for go-karting. You drive the car mental, and we got a guy in Dubai Autodrome. So what we do is we go the indoor karting. We'll do there for an hour. And no, we don't pay. We just do it for an hour. The closing hours, you know, for an hour, skid around, have fun, and then go outdoor, and we do the outdoor track for another 2 sessions, 30 minutes. You know, 15 minutes. We do 2 sessions. When you get back on the car, you do not feel like speeding.
Yeah,
it's a whole different feeling. For 1 week, you're just cruising.
True.
You're like, screw this, I don't want to speed, I don't want to do anything. Because you know 2 weeks later, you're going to go back on the track and just take out everything you want. You know? It's a whole different feeling.
It's just adjusting to the environment, you know. I mean, I'm here right now with you, so I adjust to that. And then I'm at the racetrack. Then it's game mode on. Yeah. I'm just, you know, just freaking taking everyone out. And you just gotta adapt, you know. You have to understand that you're not the only one driving on the road, and, you know, just respect everyone else as well. And, you know, I get it, you know, when you're young, you just forget everything and just put your foot down, but it's just not worth it.
Not worth it.
If you do it on the track, then that's, you know, you do that, you make a crazy move and you pass the guy, and that matters on a racetrack, but not on the road, you know. And I'm focusing on just spreading the word on road safety as well, and you know, spreading the word about motorsport alongside, and just.
But it's always, I mean, yeah, it's good to spread safety and everything. Yeah, that is true. But there's a different pleasure when you overtake a guy and flip a middle finger off him, and it's like, screw you for good driving.
Do it in a race car. I mean, I mean, like the VW team, even though we're competing against each other, it's quite fun. After the race, we're like, that's a good race, you know. We wave at them, and when we pass, like, you know, slower people, get bye bye, you know, see you later. It happens, you know, and you're at like 160 in a corner, and you're like, see you later, you know. You're literally waving, even though the person can't see you because they're focused on their race. But it happens, you know.
But it's a different pleasure. I've done that on go-karting. There'll be one slow guy between me and my friend. I'm like, give me space, man, give me space, you're slow, and he won't give you space, and you know you overlapped him already, and he just wouldn't give you space even with the blue flag. You're like, yo, you overtake, you turn around and
make
go.
The space.
Yeah, you make the space, and then, you know, you're losing time while making the space, and you turn around and you flip him, you know. I was like, screw you. After the race, he will look for you. I was like, oh, that's a white dude. He's 30 years old, don't look at him, I flipped him off.
I mean, racing, as a racing driver, it develops you, and, you know, you learn to control your emotions, even though it sometimes gets out of hand, like, you know, Max Verstappen, Ocon.
Oh, man, that was bad.
Yeah,
that was bad.
But it is that kind of an environment, you know. You do so much, and then a guy takes you out. Shit just happens.
I mean, on that one, at that particular incident, I'll take Ocon's side. Because Verstappen was slow. Yeah. And just because you're slow, he's racing for some other points, and you're slow, that doesn't mean he's going to give you space because there's another guy behind him.
I mean, that's like a modern trend in racers, you know. You want to go in this corner, you back off, or we're gonna crash. Yeah. It's the same for the other guy as well. You back off, or we're gonna crash. And that's how I see the driver's mentality right now. Back then it was like, okay, fine, someone will give up, you know. Remember the overtakes in our Rouge, like Kimi Räikkönen and Mark Webber? I'm not really sure what that was. I mean, a Rouge, yeah, you gotta back off. But if it was Ocon and Verstappen, I'm sure they would have crashed despite the speeds. Those are young ones,
yeah. They don't care. They go.
Not just that. Any racing driver, like at this moment, everybody's just like that, you know. They're like, leave room or we're gonna crash. They don't mind crashing.
It's the new generation of drivers like that. There's a lot of new names. Yeah, that's good. That keeps the racing interesting.
Yeah, that keeps the racing going. Yeah, you know, that's how it should be.
because you would love British touring racing. Have you seen those?
Yeah, BTCC.
Yeah, they're mental on the track. They don't care. They'll just ram into you if you don't move out of the way. It's a mental race. It's kind of exciting though.
Yeah, it's good for the fans as well.
Yeah, and in F1 having remember Azerbaijan one with Vettel and Ricardo.
Vettel and Ricardo?
Sorry, not Vettel and Ricardo.
Verstappen and Ricardo.
Yeah, Verstappen and
teammates crashing into each other.
Yeah, then.
Oh, yeah, that's a different league because you know the aero cars. I mean, when you're like so close, there's just no grip in the fronts for you to stop. If you were like this way, then you would have stopped. But then here, you're just like it's just gonna like pull you away.
Inevitable. You're gonna. It's just you're trying to.
But I mean, it happens. That's racing, you know. I mean, no matter how careful you are.
The last season was exciting, dude.
Yeah, it was, but then
with Vettel throwing his lead away, that was exciting. The whole race thing was exciting.
Yeah.
One amazing, not amazing. That's a very wrong word to say, but a very, very weird feeling I've ever had watching F1 was you remember the race driver who died.
Yeah.
Recently. Jules Bianchi. I remember watching that race, and it was heavy rain. They started off, they stopped, and they focused on Jules Bianchi.
Okay.
And he was just sitting on one corner thinking.
Okay.
Right? And then he gets on the car, goes in, one car crashes in, and the crane comes in to take off, and he loses control and crashes into the crane. When all of that happened, for me, that image that stuck in my head was him when sitting there, thinking about a race, and he wouldn't have known that the next few minutes that was going to happen to him. That was so intense. I keep going back whenever I think about taking certain risks physically about certain things. So a lot of stupid things I do. So, so when I take,
let's not get into that in this podcast.
So I go there, and I keep thinking, that's the image that comes in my eyes. Like, oh man, you never know what's gonna happen.
True.
But then that bravery that you have to just do it.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, that's because what I feel is people like you, who are into racing, people who are into other forms of racing or any other forms of sports that is kind of dangerous, they never do it for money. They never do it for passion. I mean, sorry, not passion. They never do it for fame. They never do any of these things. It's just that feeling of being into it. Is like being on edge. You know, football is relatively safe sport.
Okay.
You know, at max what's gonna happen is you're gonna break your leg. There are players who die on field, but that's very rare.
True, that's
you know.
true, yeah.
But when it comes to mountain biking, racing, what do you call it?
Anything in motorsport, basically.
Yeah, any motorsports, any what do you call adventure sports? That's like being on the edge.
True.
You know, you got no restart button. You got no like
no pause, no rewind, nothing. It's not a video game.
It's nothing like that. It gives you that adrenaline rush, isn't it? When you when you do that.
But I mean, if you think about it, FIA's pack and everything, it's relatively very safe. You know, even though despite the dangers, the cars, everything is safe. As long as you're not doing anything stupid, you should be fine. You know. But there is always that element of danger. You know.
Yeah.
But that's what makes it fun, and that's what makes it worth it, you know.
It's worth it, man. It's completely worth it. Yeah, anyone who hasn't done at least go-karting should just like get on the vehicle and just say, I don't know if I'm getting off this vehicle again, but I'm gonna go full on and try it. Like play by the rules of gravity and everything, but then try it. It just is a whole different feeling when you get off it. When you just get off that vehicle and you're just like breathing again. If you're a deep thinker, lot of perspective of your life just falls into place.
True.
It's a whole different thing because when you're just like close to it, you know.
Yeah, you're just close.
Speed,
always on
speed. It's always that thing with the speed. Speed is dangerous. We're not used to going at that level. Imagine where we came from, right? Where we started off from and what level we were going at, reaching speeds we don't even know we could achieve, but.
Then there's beyond on the racetrack, and if you drive a Formula car, you just unleash maximum potential of the car. That's just crazy. I mean, if you're used to driving a road car and then you jump into a Formula car, it's just mental. Like I said, the left in BIC after the straight, all of that is just so satisfying. Like after the first left, and then there's another left. If you lift off like too much, you're gonna get oversteer. You correct it, You just like back off a little bit to settle the car for the next one, and then you go with it. All that is just so satisfying, and you're doing it like 100 speeds above 100, and it's just mental. You know, that much car control is just crazy, and it's just so fun.
It's a crazy life, man. Well,
not for everyone, but you know.
Yeah, it's not for everyone, but like we spoke about earlier, if you're really good at it, step into it.
Just go for it.
And whatever you're good at it, just step into it and do it. That's the whole thing. That's the point of living a life when you don't do what you like.
That's
right?
what it is. I also want to inspire people. You know, they might be a good artist started, or like, you know, they are not searching as much, and I want to inspire people to, like, you know, hey, I tried looking to get into motorsport since I was 10, but I was able to get in like when I was 21, and if I can do that, you can too. Even if people are 40, even if they want to get into motorsport, they still can. You know. And just inspire like a young kid who was like 2 years old until, like, you know, people who are 200 years old, if they exist. Just inspire as much as I can and spread the word about safety, road safety, and then also about motorsport, and especially in the country where I'm from. You know, I want to represent the country and just help motorsport grow as much as it can. You know,
it has to grow here. There's a lot of potential in it. Everyone listening out there should, any marketing guy listening out there should know this. That there's so much potential. I've shared this story with Rakesh, and I'll share the story after this podcast because I don't want to say it on a podcast again. It's like a repetition thing. But I had an opportunity to get Alfa Romeo on an endurance go-karting thing. I'll tell you the story. And I predicted they will come into F1 when they were already supplying engines to Sauber. Okay. And I told that to the marketing region. I'll tell you this story later on. Okay. But it's a huge potential out there. It's a massive potential, and a country of so many billions of people.
I know.
You know, we can't have a couple of them up there.
We sure can. But we only had 2 until right now.
Yeah, till right now.
Hopefully, one day.
Hopefully. Still very close from there. Thank you for coming on the podcast, man.
Yeah, sweet, man. Hopefully I didn't bore you off, you know.
No, you didn't, man. Every topic is interesting what we talk about, and it's just, it's always exciting to meet a person in a different form of sports.
True.
And motorsports is something I always had, like, it's always fascinated me, and I always liked it, and I always watch it. If it's on the TV, I'll watch any race it is. I'll just watch. I'm like, okay, let's see what's going on.
It's so interesting, even for someone who doesn't know motorsport. You know, you go and you tell them, okay, hey, I'm a racing driver. Everybody's like, okay, all right, cool. I mean that too. I got respect for you. You know, massive respect.
You have like a big shot in college or something because of this.
Yeah, sort of.
We'll talk about that.
Well, I mean, I made use of every single opportunity. So I'm an opportunist, so.
It's true.
I mean, I'm in VW, so make use of it. And my university might as well use it for good, you know.
And SRM should sponsor you, man.
I mean, yeah, well, they should. They will.
I think my friend's thing was doing, he was in Hindustan University as well.
Okay, yeah, I mean, they are really into sponsoring motorsport. I mean, they have a whole course just for motorsport, and I mean, I don't know.
I think he got sponsored by Hindustan University.
Yeah, I've seen it. Like, I've seen it on the cars.
Yeah.
I think even right now, if someone from Hindustan is going, they're like ready to sponsor them. So
you got time till June. Man, whoever's listening to this out there, just get in touch with Anuranjan.
Hit me up for sponsorship.
Yeah, he would love that. It would be great to have, you know. Mr. Million, okay? Mr. Million. So get your asses out there and support a fellow brother over here from the same state. That's what I would say.
Just hit me up for anything motorsport related. Happy to help, you know. Just always happy to help and just help motorsport grow here. So
definitely. All right. Thanks, man.
Cool, man. It was great. Great to be on the podcast.
Great.
Yeah.